Backlash 2025's biggest questions. I'm Will. That's Brandon. We're the Cousins of Destruction Wrestling podcast. As always, let's cheers. Talk about some wrestling, huh?
Yeah, Backlash is a PLE coming up. I feel like a lot of people aren't really excited for. We're going to be there, so we're excited.
We are.
So let's go into deep dive some of these questions. Some people might say it's a predictable PLE. So let's think outside the box here.
There could be some twists and turns. We have some stories, that are set up here. But yeah, let's get into it and ask the biggest questions here. Make sure to like, subscribe, follow, share, all that good stuff for more wrestling content. But let's get into it. Let's start with John Cena and Randy Orton.
Come.
Normally we wait till the last for the big match, but let's start with the obvious one.
Flipping it around, huh?
The reason people are buying their ticket to the show, and that's not an understatement. That's the reason we bought our ticket. John Cena just won the belt, right? Just had the big thing happen at WrestleMania. We assume that he's going to carry that thing all the way, at least pretty far down the line. At least SummerSlam, you would expect it here. There are some people that are saying Randy Orton winning here makes sense. He can get number 15. Him and John can kind of then go they're neck and neck in terms of the record, right? So is there a way Randy should win this match? Should he win this match?
Yeah, I'm going to say no, he shouldn't. I understand, I guess, people's thoughts about like, well, he can get 15 and then it can kind of maybe balance out and then he can really set his eyes on being the GOAT. I think you have plenty of time to tell that eventual story with Randy about his legacy, his chase, his journey to be the GOAT sort of thing. That doesn't really need to be around this. The thing about this is the Cena's farewell tour. We talked about it a little bit. Like, I don't care how he gets number 17. I don't really care what they do after that. Well, now that we've kind of evolved and times passed, it's like, okay, I don't see Cena dropping the title really ever until the end. So I'm going to go ahead and say no. Should Randy win? Can Randy win? I don't really see anything like that. The only thing I potentially see is maybe a punt kick. Potentially. I'm not going to go out on a limb and say it's going to happen. I'm not going to guarantee that, but I feel like somebody, whether it's John Cena, whether it's a Travis Scott, whether it's somebody else, somebody's getting punt kicked. R-Truth, somebody's taking one.
Yeah, Randy should not win this match. I love Randy Orton and it's his hometown, all that good stuff. But eventually we're going to get some form of Randy Orton farewell tour, right? And he said, I believe he said he wants to fight for another 5 years. I may be wrong on that, but
I think he said 50, yeah.
Yeah, so if you give him 5 years, look, that's more than enough time to rattle off a couple championship wins. And then we can tell the story of Randy going for the title record as well. Like that can come down the line. That's totally fine. But John Cena just got the belt here. We have much bigger story to be told, obviously, that's going on behind the scenes. So, no, Randy should not win it, but I'm kind of with you. If you want me to pick a way the PLE should end, it should end in Randy Orton punting somebody. He can lose the match and then get pissed and punt somebody and then give us all the hoorah walking away from the PLE. So that's what should happen.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are kind of wondering how Cena wins this match. I think that's maybe the biggest question is how they go about it. And the DQ is certainly an option where he does just attack the ref. So maybe the ref gets punt kicked, something like that. Or somebody interferes and boom.
That's exactly what we're going to ask next. John Cena's probably going to win this match, but it's not going to be clean. There's no way, shape, or form where John Cena wins this match just outright and pins Randy Orton and is a better man, right? That wouldn't be the heel way. So how is John Cena going to win this match? Are we going to get a Travis Scott running? Are we going to get The Rock? Are we going to get something as simple as R-Truth because they've been doing the backstage segments?
Yeah, I maybe wouldn't say as simple as R-Truth. I think we need to put some respect on R-Truth's name. That's probably the way I'm going to go. That's maybe a little outside the box in terms of like, well, what do you really get here in terms of like story progression? Well, he helps his childhood idol retain the title and then he gets punt kicked and then maybe he, I don't know, doesn't have screws loose anymore. Maybe he actually starts to understand stuff. I don't know. But I think that's probably the way that you go. They've hinted at it multiple times with Truth taking Cena's side. They've also hinted at it with Jimmy saying, hey, if you keep talking like this, you're going to get your head punt clean off. So I think that's really the way we're heading. Something simple like that. And I'm okay with that. R-Truth can kind of be the comedy character for a minute and then boom.
Yeah, I think we may get a Travis Scott run-in as well with R-Truth. I do think the backstage segments with R-Truth have not been for no reason. I do think that's going to come to fruition at Backlash and we're going to get Randy punting R-Truth or something like that. But rumors have been circulating that Booker T's been training with Travis Scott backstage. So it's looking like he's going to be around for the long haul, at least during this Cena farewell tour. Do I want John Cena to win that way again? Hell no, but it's going to happen. And then when it comes to The Rock, I'm never gonna put my all my money into that basket ever again. I have there's no chance The Rock shows up to this. So John Cena's gonna win with the help of somebody, but it ain't gonna be The Rock.
Yeah, and I think the most important thing to take away from this is the preparation. I think if I mentioned it once before, but with the way WrestleMania ended, that shows that they will go to any length to ruin wrestling. So fans are not going to be happy with whatever the result is. That's kind of the intended point. I know some people said, well, that doesn't excuse the bad booking. Well, that doesn't excuse this. There's going to be outrage. So I just want everybody to be prepared for that on Saturday after Backlash.
That's why you just end it with the punt. You have the crap happen, and then you just end it with the punt, and then we go, yeah, that was fun.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, and then he gets cheered. I mean,
yeah, exactly. We'll go on to Becky versus Lyra Valkyria. Becky was talking a lot of smack on not only Lyra, but on Garbage Bailey. I think we counted 10 of them. Somebody counted
maybe
10
more. Yeah, it might have been more.
I don't know, but it's looking like during the Becky Lyra match, we may be getting a Bailey run-in. Are we calling that?
I'm going to hold off on the Bailey run-in this time. I'm looking at the whole card, and you could potentially say a run-in of some sort for every single match. So I'm going to hold off on this one here. I'm just going to say Becky maybe gets the upper hand. This time, it is just the first time. Bailey's been away for a little bit, but maybe not long enough in terms of like the story, because she did just get attacked just a few weeks ago. I would be like, well, why are you coming back now? You could have came back this time or this, you know what I mean? So I'm going to maybe delay it just a little bit longer. Maybe even something like Raw. Becky comes out and starts talking and gloating about how she beats Lyra, and then you have Bailey come out then, something like that. Some way, somehow, we're getting Bailey involved here. I just don't think it's going to be this early. More for the sake of the card. I think there's a lot of, like I said, a lot of shenanigans potential here.
Yeah.
I want something to end a little bit normally here.
I do think we get the Bailey run in. I really do. I think that we didn't get like a picture or anything of Bailey being attacked in like a vicious way. Like she wasn't laid out on a car hood like Jade was months ago, where it was like, oh yeah, she's going to need time in the hospital. We got like the tiny little backstage segment of her like up against the box and she was like, ow, I'm hurt. It's like, we've seen wrestlers come back from that type of stuff later on in the night. So logically, it makes sense that Bailey's going to be pissed about the WrestleMania spot. She's going to be pissed about getting crap talked on every Monday Night Raw since then. So I do think we get Bailey running in, and it's going to end up costing Lyra, in my opinion. I think that no matter what happens, Lyra loses this match. But I do think it's time for a Bailey run-in.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they book this, because obviously we think maybe triple threat potential as well, but it would be interesting to see how you could tie Becky to Lyra.
Yeah.
Because you have, or I'm sorry, not Becky,
Bailey.
Lyra, Bailey to Lyra. Yeah. Too many B's. Bailey to Lyra here, because obviously we have Becky being the middle person for all of it. So that's going to be an interesting dynamic. So yeah, if she costs Lyra here, that's a perfect way.
A lot of people like to call Becky Lynch Becky Hogan. She even, brought it up on Raw Recap and all that good stuff here. And a lot of people are already saying that if she beats Lyra Valkyria at Backlash, she's going to be a Becky Hogan once again. Do you look at it that way? Would you have that reaction if she won?
I don't look at it that way, this time at least. I saw some people also comparing it to Charlotte in terms of Charlotte always inserting herself into the title picture, always winning, always not putting over younger talent, things like that. I think Becky, just the few weeks in this feud, has already elevated Lyra so much. I think she's also elevated the hype around the IC title. And Becky's doing something different here. It's not just the same I'm the man sort of thing. So I'm really enjoying this little small stint we've had of Becky as it is. So no, I'm not going to compare it to that.
She came back at Mania. She won the tag titles. She gave them back the next night. Since then, She's been elevating Lyra, like you said, to a level that people are caring about Lyra 10 times more in the last 2 weeks than they did the last year before it. We all knew how good she was in the ring. Character-wise, we're all like, what? Since Becky arrived, it's been like, okay, yeah, Lyra's got some fire inside of her. Let's absolutely go. And I think the natural progression of the story is for Becky to take the title. That gives more of a chance for Lyra to add to her character. So no, I'm not going to react like it's Becky Hogan. I think this is exactly what she should be doing. Getting the younger talent over. And that's exactly what she's done the last couple of weeks and what needs to continue at Backlash.
Yeah, I think people just like to make funny comments now. Yeah. That's what I've realized, I think.
Yeah.
Like I saw somebody say Hogan Paul.
Hogan Paul.
I thought that was pretty funny.
In terms of names, that's pretty good. Pat McAfee and Gunther. Pat got on there and cut an absolute phenomenal promo on Monday Night Raw. Got the crowd in Nebraska going, and then Gunther answered right back and silenced everybody with the hands of God, literally. A lot of people are talking about this Pat McAfee Gunther match being one thing, and that's a setup for the eventual rumored Goldberg feud with good old Gunther. Is there any chance we get a Goldberg run in here at Backlash?
Yeah, I didn't think about this at all. I had this so far away out of my mind. Now, we had mentioned the Goldberg-Gunther feud back when Sammy was trying to challenge. So we've been talking about it for a while. It's been kind of hanging around there. I believe in Atlanta, Goldberg was there and then just kind of said, you're next, and nothing really came of that. So that is in the back of the mind there. I'm going to say no on this one. Now, you could maybe fast forward that and put it on like a Saturday Night Main Event would be my only thought here. If it doesn't, the reason I don't think it happens here is there's so much time until the next quote unquote like filler PLE, right? Like your crown jewel isn't until like October. So if it's not happening at Saturday Night Main Event, which is a quick turnaround, I mean, I guess Gunther could say, well, hey, you came out after me. You speared me. I don't like that. I'm going to destroy you. I guess you could just do that. But that just seems a little bit too quick. I think Goldberg will want a little bit more shine. So I'm going to say no on this one.
Yeah, I don't think Goldberg's showing up at Backlash. I don't think we're going to get a random run-in, big spear, Pat gets to cover Gunther, anything crazy like that. But I think that is what is this story. I think that the commentary booth and Gunther's going to keep disrespecting, personnel in WWE that are the little guys. And eventually the little guys are going to go out and find an equal bully to take on Gunther. And it's going to be good old Goldberg, Bill Goldberg for his final retirement match. But no Goldberg at Backlash, but don't worry, everybody, it's coming. I'm telling you, it's coming.
Yeah. I think there's rumored 1, maybe 2. You might have 2 left.
I think it's one more match.
One more match. So.
I think so.
Yeah. I mean, Crown Jewel makes a whole lot of sense. But now we're finding out that Crown Jewel's in Perth, so maybe that also changes plans here.
Yeah.
A Saturday Night Main Event I could see happening. We have a few of those, and it's kind of like a nostalgia throwback. You could get the part-time, not very hardcore fans be like, oh, well, Bill Goldberg's wrestling? No, yeah. I kind of want to watch that. Oh, who's he going up against? Oh, this guy's pretty badass. So I could see that at Saturday Night Main Event.
Goldberg ever wrestle on a Saturday Night Main Event? No way.
Nope.
No way.
Nope.
And then just finishing that, there's 0% chance Pat wins that match, right? Unless something crazy like that happens. Goldberg shows up out of nowhere, spears the crap out of Gunther, calls it a day. But there's no way, right?
Yeah, I think that's the only way.
Okay.
I think that's the only way. Unless you have Michael Cole, Wade Barrett, Corey Graves, Booker T, all the commentary team just decide to take their chances on Gunther, and they all just circle the ring, and that's how you get that.
They bring good old JR back.
Yeah. You know what? Now that I said that, I kind of want to see that eventually. Just, you know what? Yeah, why not? Shenanigans.
The spin a Rudy on Gunther's grave. Oh, no. He'd be doing the Steph care. Fatal 4-way action, though. We have Fatu, Drew, LA Knight, and Damian Priest. The entire clouded story that is surrounding Fatu right now, along with the Fatal 4-Way match, is Solo Sikoa. Solo actually got him into this Fatal 4-Way match when he was like, hey, but remember Drew. So is Solo going to get involved in this match? Is he going to accidentally cost Jacob Fatu the title?
I think that's going to be the eventual thing. Now, maybe he doesn't cost him the title. Maybe he does just end up turning on Jacob. But here, I think he helps Jacob. I think here he maybe thinks, hey, I messed up. Hey, I didn't mean to have Drew be put in the match. I believe in you. This is still the family. I still think Solo tries to prove his loyalty here. I think he really tries to show like, hey, this is for the family. I think eventually, obviously, the storyline is going to be he turns on Fatu, or maybe Fatu just gets so fed up of Solo. I think it's a little bit too early here, especially with somebody like Jacob Fatu, who is white hot, and then you have him winning the title at Mania. It would be kind of a letdown to just have him lose the title and like, okay, yeah, you're going to go feud with Solo, but what about all that cool stuff you just did for months and months and months? So not now. I'm going to say that's probably a SummerSlam match.
That's exactly what I thought. I thought that this is definitely a thing that happens down the road at SummerSlam, and I think the title is going to be involved in that match at this point. So throughout the match, yeah, you might have Solo mess up, and it looks like, oh my God, is Solo going to do it? Did he just cost him? But Jacob Fatu is a beast that can just get through it, and I'm with you. I do think that Solo is going to kind of make up for that and prove himself to Jacob Fatu this week, because I think that needs to be part of the story as well. I think to really get the turn to feel good would be if Solo did re-earn Fatu's respect. And what better way than to do that than to help Fatu win this fatal 4-way match over 3 of the best superstars on SmackDown. So while I think that this is coming down the line for sure, not at Backlash. Not at Backlash.
Yeah, and with Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa still out, so you just have Solo and Jacob. I feel like you can't really do that yet. I think the original plan was to maybe even have Tama Tonga have to maybe choose a side, and maybe he sides with Solo, and maybe that's how you get the eventual kind of split. But now it's just Solo and Jacob. So I think right now you got to kind of put the brakes on a little bit, have them together still for a little while. I'll be honest, I'll be afraid if Solo does cost Jacob here. I'll be a little bit afraid because everybody knows how great Jacob is, that Solo will kind of be lost in it, even though, you know, he's kind of front and center still in terms of like the feud. Yeah. I would be afraid that he would be kind of lost.
I agree. I do agree. And for the rest of them, I mean, we're talking about 3 of the top superstars on SmackDown. Probably the other 3 top superstars that aren't named Cody Rhodes right now. I mean, I know John Cena and Randy Orton are technically on SmackDown, but come on, that belt's basically just the belt of whatever city they have John Cena scheduled in next, right? So what do these other guys do? What does LA Knight do? What does Drew McIntyre do? What does Damian Priest do if they lose to Fatu at Backlash?
Yeah, I think that's maybe the most interesting question out of this, because LA Knight's kind of felt like he's hit his ceiling. I think Drew is kind of teetered back and forth between like the main event and the mid card, and Drew's still doing some phenomenal work here. And I talked about Solo potentially getting lost. I feel like Damian Priest has kind of gotten lost. I think Damian Priest's stock is not what it was at one point. So I think maybe Damian Priest kind of flounders away a little bit in terms of maybe he just fights some random one-offs, things like that. And I think maybe you come out of this with Drew and LA being a feud. Am I 100% like committed to that? Am I 100% like, hey, this is my thought. Let's press the gas pedal. No, I would like it if LA Knight switch brands. I would like it if the draft was a thing and he went over to Raw and had some new fresh faces to fight. But right now, no draft really scheduled. We've talked about the title kind of being lost, kind of being unsure. Maybe Drew McIntyre ends up being the next challenger for John Cena. I don't know. Yeah.
When I think about these 3 after the match, I just think, man, we desperately need a date for that draft announced, and it needs to happen. Like, that just needs to happen, because you could do Damian Drew one more time if you wanted to and just call it that's the finishing off match, whatever, screw it. But for LA Knight, wait, what the hell is he going to do? He's been around that U.S. title scene for like as long as I can remember, at least back to last SummerSlam when he faced Logan Paul. And then the rivalry before that was kind of that for a couple of months. So I don't know where anybody goes. I don't know what they do on SmackDown, because the tag title scene is so hot right now that they really haven't had any mid-card scene really, except for the U.S. title scene, which all these guys in it. So there just doesn't seem to be any answers, which means you got to shake something up. We need a draft. We need a draft, WWE, if you want these guys to get into anything interesting post Backlash.
Yeah, I think Drew probably teeters around the idea of Cena. I know he hinted at it at the Elimination Chamber, right? That whole build up. I know he hinted at it there. I know he's kind of hinted at it, time and time again, really. You need somebody after Randy, because we know Cena's just going to continue to keep holding the belt. But don't get me wrong, those Drew McIntyre promos, if Drew McIntyre comes out, cuts those truth promos like he has been for a while, he cuts those on John Cena, you could sign me up, because those promos between back and forth, Drew and John Cena, those would be good.
Also, Drew would tower over Cena like no other. He'd make Cena look so small.
I saw John Cena on the NBA set yesterday.
Yeah.
He looked very small.
Yep. With Shaq?
I said,
I think he looks small with Shaq.
Well, he was almost the size of like Ernie Johnson.
Oh, come on.
I mean, I love Ernie. Don't get me wrong.
Good for you, Ernie.
Yeah, I like Ernie, but I said, oh, man.
When we did our predictions, this match wasn't announced. Penta, Dirty Dom, Intercontinental title. Who do you got winning it?
Yeah, it's Dirty Dom. I feel like it's pretty cut and dry. We talked about John Cena holding the title for years and years and years and years at this point. That's pretty much Dom Mysterio.
Yeah, Dirty Dom's going to win this thing. I don't really care how or why. He just won the belt at WrestleMania. Not only did he just win the belt at Mania, they told the man to go and take a double dip and celebrate and turn around and go soak in the crowd. Like, obviously, WWE knows what they got with this guy, so that's absolutely crazy. The one storyline that's kind of going with the Penta and Dirty Dom stuff into Backlash is Finn. He's been, he's been here and there with Dom. Sometimes he likes Dom, sometimes he doesn't like Dom. Is there any chance that Finn could cost Dom here at Backlash?
I think there's a really high chance that Finn tries. I think we've seen Finn obviously do that with Damian Priest, right? Like he screwed Damian Priest over in the past. Finn always kind of seems to stab people in the back. I think you might get Finn trying to screw Dom over here, and Dom still overcomes it and still gets the pin out of it. Now you could simply say, well, what does that do to Penta? Maybe that hurts Penta stock. Penta is Penta, so nothing is going to change in my eyes, at least. So Dom can at least get the win here, and you can kind of really start to feel those cracks shift, and you can have something kind of set in stone about like, hey, well, I know you're against me now because you tried to cost me the IC title.
I think we do get Finn pulling off some shenanigans and trying to screw over Dom. It might not be super obvious, but it's going to be something where, like, when we look back at the match later on at Raw, Dom's going to be like, did you mean to do that? And then I think what's going to happen is Chad Gable's going to save the day, right? Because he showed up on Monday Night Raw and went after Penta, so why wouldn't he do it here at Backlash? So I think that we do get Finn trying to do a little bit and screw over Dirty Dom, but Mr. Chad Gable's going to come save the day. And I think that would be perfect because then you could have just a little bit of seed planted for what's going to come next for the Finn and Dom stuff while also carrying along the Chad Gable against the Luchador storylines all in one.
Yeah, and then you also have AJ Styles on the outside too because AJ Styles and Finn have a match on Raw. AJ says he's coming after Dom. So that all really kind of just ties together. There's kind of a nice little melting pot here. You get a sprinkle of Chad Gable, a sprinkle of Finn, AJ, Penta, Dom as your main course. Is really going to be good stuff.
Yeah, and that's also Dom's winning because AJ didn't walk up to Penta. He didn't walk up to Penta on Monday night and say, I'm challenging the winner. I think we know exactly what's coming next, which, man, oh man, sign me up for that. I wish we were getting that. I mean, I love Penta as well, obviously, but AJ Styles, that's phenomenal, right? So
yeah.
Wish we were seeing
phenomenal loss at WrestleMania.
A phenomenal loss at WrestleMania. Anyway, those are all the Backlash questions we got. Obviously, there aren't that many. We only had a few freaking weeks in between WrestleMania and Backlash this year. Next year, I saw they moved Mania back up to the very beginning of April.
And you also only have a few weeks after this before Saturday Night Main Event.
Oh, man. Storylines are fun.
Quick, bop, boom, bop.
Storylines are fun. Anyway, obviously, we will be at Backlash this weekend, so no live stream for that. But normally, we do live streams on youtube.com/@CODWrestlePod for Raw, SmackDown, and all your PLEs, which means SmackDown, we will be having one this week, so please be there. And for everything else, @CODWrestlePod, COD WrestlePod, we have a link tree in our bio. It's got absolutely everything there. Go ahead, like, subscribe, follow, share all those social media stuff that we got because we appreciate it and we think that you would like this type of wrestling content. But until next time, I'm Will. That's Brandon. We are the Cousins of Destruction Wrestling Podcast, and we will see you next time.